James is eating salad and some beets and potato and stuff, and some yogurt with granola, and dark chocolate hummus with apples. We'll see how that is. Rizzoli and Isles. I'm just reviewing the first 4 seasons so far, and then Prodigal Son. But it's just that I mean, it's not that Rizzoli and Isles is great television. This is James
I hear it in the background.
Have been making fun of it, really,
yeah.
but this one is that bad that it just that one got top of the stack. They're both stories about, like, this is a regular. It's basically like a Cagney and Lacey, or Charlie's Angels. I was thinking Rizzoli. She'd be a great Charlie's Angel, and if Charlie called her an angel, she'd be like, "Don't call me angel again. It's Rizzoli to you," or something like that, right? Like she'd be no nonsense about Charlie treating her like that. But the problem with this is they don't stick to who the character is. They're all wishy-washy about they want her to be a hot woman, and so there's like
and a tough woman as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so they want to put her in pretty clothes and stuff like that, and sometimes she'll be like, where would I ever wear that, or whatever, and then other times she's like, that uniform makes me seem too masculine or something, or it doesn't make me look girly enough, or whatever. And it's like, okay, make up your mind what you're going for here, because she's actually best as the tough character that wears the pants and looks hot, but maybe a little bit bushy. That's what she should be. So
Cagney and Lacey was pretty accurate in terms of the kind of women that are attracted to cops, big cops. Weren't they kind of tough gals, Cagney and Lacey?
Yeah. Now, another problem I have with the show is, I don't know, we'll review Cagney and Lacey at another time. I don't have it here, so I can't do it. But is Isles, she knows everything. All she has is an MD. She's just a medical doctor. She's the coroner.
That's the one in white there.
She's the, yeah.
Okay.
But she's, and she likes dressing fashionably and stuff like that. She was adopted, and she came from her adopted parents are well off and everything, so she likes fancy clothes and wearing fancy shoes and stuff like that. But and that's fine. But she has too much all-around knowledge. So it's basically, if anybody's going to, she's the go-to encyclopedia, which maybe that's true. I mean, you're looking at James here. He's the go-to encyclopedia for me. Lately I've been researching the Civil War and stuff like that online, because I don't know. I don't know how much he'd know about the Civil War or care about the Civil War. So I've been looking at that. But normally, if I have any questions, I just see what James says.
I care about
go
the
to him
Civil
first.
War, but,
okay.
Yeah, I could have helped out with some of the stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so
it's living proof that the northern states aren't racist, because the northern states actually sacrificed thousands of, I think it's tens of thousands of their sons to get rid of slavery in the United States.
So I don't know if you noticed this case, the picture when I was showing this. This is my first problem with this. I like the idea of the son sitting there and it's the father reflected in the pool of blood. Only the reflection doesn't match how the son is sitting. So this doesn't work. Whoever, whatever art person came up with this, they blew it. They blew the picture. So the father has to be sitting and reflected in the same way that the son is sitting. This prodigal son thing, it doesn't have to, you could move that up and have the son just, it doesn't have to go through the O like that. It could just be underneath. And then you move this up, the son up, and then the father has room to be reflected properly.
Yeah, he's too
but as
big
this is, this doesn't work. You blew it. You had a good idea, you blew it. So, but that's basically the story of this story. You blew it. You had a good idea and you blew it. And this is the second season. I don't know why I'm bothering to get these things out. I'll get the third one again, but why? I mean, when you look at anything about this show, they blew it. So it's an interesting idea. You have a surgeon who, he's an educated man and everything, and he happened to be a serial killer. And the son was the one who turned him in when he was a little kid. And now the father is trying to have a relationship with the son. He's in prison and whatever, right? Well, I'm not going to give anything away with this season. So, because he's killed a lot of people. And you're wondering the whole time, well, does he really care about his son or whatever? What? Anyway, or is he just playing? Is this just a game for him? Because does he really have the ability to care about his son? He's just mentally. Maybe that's not possible. So you're looking at this and you're wondering the whole time. Anyway, let's see. I hate that. I say a lot. I know this. But, again. So, there's things like the race stuff is brought into here.
Okay.
And don't do that. It doesn't need to be in here. It doesn't make the story more interesting. It actually takes away from it. Again, sorry about that. The characters, they're not cast well. I like Lou Diamond Phillips. I like the...
Oh, he's in it.
I like the coroner in this. I guess the wife of or ex-wife of the surgeon, she's all right, but nobody, like the son and the daughter, don't look anything like either parents. They couldn't possibly come from them, and they don't look related to each other. They really did just a god-awful job with casting. And like I was saying, the writing, not great. You had a good idea, and you couldn't pull it off. So, yeah, I really don't know what to say about this to emphasize just how much garbage this is. So, James and we've been talking about politics a lot on the news. We're in the car and it's on the news, and
I'd rather
on the radio, and I want to try to find a radio
to
station with some bad music because I don't want to listen to politics.
You don't want to listen to really bad news.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's terrible music on the radio. Gosh,
yeah, it really is bad. I haven't found anything good on the radio for a long time. Yeah. And well, you were trying the university station for a while there.
Man, oh man. CKXU or whatever you're called, get it together. It's awful. Just bland.
So yeah, I went to the grocery store trying to find good deals, and I'm wondering if I was going to get good deals. And I did. I mean, I got yogurt, an 8-pack for $2.55, so that's pretty good. And dark chocolate hummus, which I don't know how that'll be, for about $2.
I'm a little apprehensive, but we'll see.
So we'll see how that is. But anyway, I don't know. I didn't get very many things. We happened to be going by there after our hike, and so I thought I'd stop in and grab a few things. So James got a few more ingredients for his salad. Put in. And some dessert, which he's eating first, which is cute.
Not first, but
yeah.
I just want to milk products don't sit that well. I like them when they're cool. Right? So I want to take care of this before it warms up. It's a fairly
One thing I want to mention about the politics is it really upset me hearing we were telling people in 2020 it's a world war. We were telling right now we're having a world war. and nobody seemed to be cluing in. But this is what we're in right now. Some people, we're hearing people on the radio saying it's going to be World War III or whatever. And James was saying Putin already has North Korean troops on his side, so fighting with
dying on his side.
Dying on his
The
side.
Ukrainians are getting the bodies, you see what I'm saying?
People
Capturing
don't
them,
seem to have enough sense to look at the big picture of things. I was listening to the radio and they're talking about, oh, Trudeau's going to have to send subsidies to maple syrup producers because 60% of our maple syrup goes to the States. Okay, how about the people in the United States eat their crappy Aunt Jemima syrup and us Canadians get to eat our maple syrup for a change? That'd be great. So there's who cares?
Well, they're not
Find
going to
other
get as
markets.
much as
You're
they,
gonna
but yeah, fine.
It doesn't. You don't need to. Anyway, but
That kind of food doesn't make any difference, you
No,
know?
it
It's
really
just
does.
entertainment, really.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the grocery store, and we're back to COVID sort of prices for produce. Well, of course we are. You know. And I did it again, and I'm sorry.
Well, a certain plague, we'll say.
Okay. $10 bag for avocados. Needless to say, I did not buy any. But apples were still cheap. And I'm thankful for them. And interested to try what dark
We
chocolate
can grow
hummus
apples
tastes like.
pretty well
So
in
whatever.
Canada. They grow
Yeah.
them in Quebec,
Exactly.
presumably in Ontario. I'm pretty sure many places in BC grow them. So yeah, there's a lot of misunderstanding in terms of, before we get too far away from the
Okay.
food issue.
Oh.
When there was a plague going on, see, yeah, like really killing people, are still going on. All sorts of CBC reporters were reporting about the economic fallout. Again and again, it was alcohol and restaurants. Alcohol and restaurants. Now I've been listening to other stations. 770, I think that's global. 660, I don't know who puts that on, but it's coming out of Calgary, issuing out of Calgary. And they're talking about the economic fallout with what? Alcohol and restaurants. These things are not important. Start dealing with the steel industry, with the energy industry. They're important for Canada and for the United States. All this other stuff, maple syrup, liquor stocked on those shelves of being pulled off of liquor shelves. Who cares?
And one guy, he phoned in and he was, oh, sorry. I
Go
thought you
ahead.
were done.
I basically finished.
He phoned in and he was talking about China being such a strong military power and whatever.
Strongest in the world. This
Yeah, and he was saying, you know, so-and-so has, Russia has this and so-and-so has this and whatever. And why is, basically what he was saying is, why is the United States picking on little old
excellent
us?
allies. You know? Yeah.
Because
People don't
Trump
understand.
is not actually working for the United States people. Basically, that's why.
He's the, you know, when Trudeau was being called governor of Canada, and go on to, by Trump. Dump, I should call him. That's his real name. Dump. D-U-M-P-F. D-M-P-F, yeah. Dump.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, he could have, he shouldn't have, responded with calling Trump Commissar Trump, or maybe even better, apparatchik Trump. Apparatchik, I think, is a little bit better. It's basically a bureaucrat or something like that. Because Trump, it looks like what he's doing is dumb. Now, understand, you folks out there that think what he's doing is smart are really, really dumb. Donald Trump is dumb and he's a coward. What he's doing actually is smart, because what he's doing is smart for Putin.
Yeah.
All the stuff is being set out basically for Putin.
And it's basically the same story that we were telling you back in 2020. All of this it's not really even smart for Putin. What Putin is doing is not smart for Putin. But what it is it's smart for China. Ultimately. All of it, all of this that's going on is weakening any
the rest of the world
resistance against China.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
You listening, Vladdy, Puto? What you're doing is you're just, like what you've been going around proclaiming is it's the rest of the world against China, and the big trouble is you're beating up the rest of the world, including yourself. Stupid fool.
Yeah.
China's just sitting back, kind of like enabling you, carrying out military exercises with your army, navy, whatever, and they're not committing people on the ground. Yeah, this one guy was saying they've got the most powerful army in the world.
Look how cute that is.
Look at it. What?
Cute.
It
looks good.
We'll see how it tastes. Anyway, they might have the biggest army in the world, but there's a huge difference. You put out 1 million guys, 2 million guys out on a plane, and then all of a sudden, a plane like this, and one nuclear bomb, and they're gone. Now they have more than enough nuclear weapons. One is more than enough when you're dealing with a dictatorship like China, Iran, or frankly Russia. One is more than enough. Saddam Hussein. Anyway, there's a lot of misunderstanding. Yeah, someone was saying he watches the stock market. Well, it's Putin is watching the American stock market. He's got to make sure that idiot Trump, that isn't impeached. The thing that really turns people against a government is bad economic times. Putin has got Trump and Rupert Murdoch. I'm sure Rupert Murdoch is behind the rumors that the American military was planning on killing 20,000 American civilians with some sort of, I can't remember, it was gas warfare or biological warfare or something like that. That was on the National Globe or something like that. I don't know who owns that. Presumably it's influenced, if not owned, by Rupert Murdoch. So, Richard Nixon was going to be impeached. Why? Because it was bad economic times, not because Americans were hugely scandalized by his various felonious breakings of the law. They were just PO'd because of the bad economic times. So the times, as far as I'm concerned, during the height or depth of that plague a while back, they were bad economic times. The ultimate economy for me is my health. And I'd be very...
Well, it is for anybody.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised. I'd be absolutely shocked if the American life expectancy didn't go down significantly during the last 5 years. And that's all on Donnie Dumpf. It's all on him because he let it in. Now the reason why he let it in, he's been kind of a, Putin let him do it, but he was doing that because Dumpf owes a few favors to the Chinese. When Dumpf got in, 70.
You have 10 minutes, so
thank you.
I'm going to go put my little victory garden, move it into the porch here.
So it can get some sunshine.
Yeah.
They've been, plants have been sitting inside for quite a while. It's better to get a sun field than just sitting inside. Anyway, Donald Dumpf is, this by 2018, the Chinese had accorded him all sorts of economic favors. And Putin wasn't necessarily against that because what happened is this particular plague that's still going on has been very divisive in the United States. So that's what Putin wants to do. Now, a lot of people think, oh, Putin wants to have... Pretty good. I'm tasting chocolate, not hummus. I'm not a big fan of the taste of hummus. I do eat it. It's probably pretty healthy. Maybe a good source, dietary source of protein. I think it's a kind of bean. They call it a chickpea. Garbanzo bean. Pretty tasty. I don't know if Pauline was flashing. Fontaine Santé. I don't know who actually. The Fountain of Health, maybe. Not so much the Fountain of Youth. French name. Well, you can find that on the internet. I wouldn't. Pauline got it at quite a discount. I wouldn't pay full price for it, but so many folks might like it. Tasty. Anyway, getting back to Trump, anything but tasty prospect. Gotta savor that food. Given the competition, time to catch up. I'm sure there's plenty of competition out there. All sorts of stupid people who think they've got everything about what's happening in the world. I could be a stupid person who thinks he knows everything that's happening in the world, but I know I don't know everything. I sure know more. People on the radio, people at the universities, blue glass. So yeah, this is being generated by Putin. What Putin wants to do, yeah, as mentioned, lots of people think, oh, especially people of the academic type, oh, all he wants to do is get Orban, a conservative in power in Europe, conservatives in power, alternative for Deutschland in power in Germany. No, what he wants to do is split Europe apart, and even more than that, split the larger countries in Europe apart, because anyone who thinks that Germany is an equal of Russia in terms of ultimate power, which is economic power, are clueless. The German population is maybe a little bit more than half the Russian population, but the economic clout of Germany is way more than Russia's. It might be it's got to be more than twice, and 3 times? I don't know. So how Russia per capita maybe makes 1/5 of what Canada does, and it has less than 4 times the population. So you see, it doesn't even have the economic clout of Canada. And Germany probably makes somewhere around the same amount of money per capita, produces per capita GDP, as Canada, but I think it has even more than twice Canada's population. So I don't think it's 3 times the economic clout of Russia, but certainly twice. And France would be doesn't have quite the population Germany has, but again, it would have more economic clout, maybe 50% more than the Soviet Union. Not quite that much, but somewhere around there, 50% more. England, definitely more. All those 3 countries. So what the big problem for Putin in Europe is not so much splitting apart the European Union, but splitting apart those 3 major countries. And it's a similar thing in the United States. He's not that thrilled about Donald Trump, whatever you guys might think or not think. He's not that thrilled about Bernie Sanders, another Russian agent. I don't know if Trump has got to, or rather Putin has got to Kamala Harris. I can't see the Democrats running her again. I hope they don't. She's way too left wing in order to be electable. against any sort of a candidate. It's amazing how well she did against Trump. It's an indication of how, I mean, she had a shorter campaign for president than even Hubert Humphrey. I don't think Hubert Humphrey won a primary. I don't think Kamala Harris was in any primary, much less won one. And in terms of popular vote, Kamala Harris almost equaled Donald Trump, like 1% behind or something like that. Like 48 point something percent to 47 point something percent, or 47 point something percent to 46 point something percent. But while we're on the topic, like she didn't win the Electoral College. She got smoked there. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure the Russians, as they were in 2020, they almost stole that election, as they were in 2016, were using the system is already set in place over the course of decades by the Republicans, the hugely corrupt system of voter suppression, messing around with using computers to mess up voting counts and stuff like that. Again, they swept from what I can tell, they swept the battleground states, as they call them, something like characterize them, maybe mischaracterize them, where it's kind of like middle America, places like Michigan, Wisconsin, I think, Pennsylvania, so on and so forth, where people are kind of like 50-50. Newsflash for Democrats out there, especially the left-leaning ones. It looks like it's fairly consistent. The number of people who believe in socialism, and this is shockingly high to me, but according to polls that are maybe semi-reliable, that believe in socialism in the United States is roughly around 40%, 38%. Back in 2018, it looked as though it got up to about 43%. Shockingly high. I don't think it's even as high as 40%. But we'll say, for the sake of argument, it is. Number of people who believe in capitalism, 60%. 60%, 40%. It looks as though in terms of loyalties, it might be 50-50. I think it's more Democrats than Republicans even now. But we'll say it's about 50-50. If it is that, there's about, it'd be pretty well every Republican believes in, believes in capitalism. So that's 50% of the population, and that leaves 10% of the population that support the Democrats traditionally, but don't believe in socialism. It looks like maybe 80% of the people that support the Democrats, I can't see it being that high, but that's what the polls indicate. Maybe they're trustworthy. It looks like 80% of the people who support Democrats believe in socialism. But there's that 10%. And you've got to get that, just to get that 10% in order to be even.
Okay, well, that's 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So
all you folks that think, we'll go out in the left wing and people will rush to us, down in the United States, they won't. They'll rush away from you. So give up that stupidity and get sensible and appeal to the people in the middle. That's what you're going to have to do to win it.
And this is my victory garden. Yay!